and advances the kingdom for soul winning. This word, bread of life, that I received today, is not only for me, but to be shared with others, that they may grow in Christ as well as myself for the purpose of successful living. Thank you. Want to welcome all of you. We're here at the Greenwood campus. Y'all know y'all got my head cut off. Y'all see that little piece up there? I need a little bit more. There you go. Work with me. Boom. There we go. If I had some hair, I'd have an afro up there. I want to welcome, we're here at the Greenwood campus today on a Tuesday, and to those that are watching from the Greenville campus, I've got a chance to communicate with a couple of them today, and for those that are on the Virtuous campus, we are very happy to have you, and we do welcome all of our international community and as well as our global partners. We're still praying and seeking God for this pandemic that we're dealing with. COVID-19, the coronavirus is hitting far and near. There's a lot of uncertainty that is around and going around. We want you to continue to practice the proper distancing, safe distancing, and to protect yourself. If you have a mask, please wear a mask when you're around people, and please wash and sanitize your hands. We're happy and thankful and continue to pray for those who are the first responders, those that are in the healthcare field, those that are still serving through the service industry, and those that are still working. We continue to pray that you stay safe, and to all that are dealing with this issue, that we recover as a nation as well as globally. So we have you in our prayers. Those that have reached out from far and near, we are continuing to pray. And there are those that are still asking about how can they give. Sunday I was sitting in another service, and people were just cash apping us. And so I thank God for that, because we have goals which we have not given all of those out fully. But I said, you know, we're a ministry in Greenville. We don't have a location. I am very grateful for Pastor Jeff Akers and the I Am Church family, who has constantly been very patient and considerate and very responsive to allow us to continue to worship there. So know that when you do contribute it through the Cash App, which is the $ Gville House, and it has our logo in it, that is the $ Gville, Gville House. Thank you for your contributions, and you can also go online to houseofreconciliation.org and give. And we do appreciate it. And I was in his service on Sunday, and I was having to try to answer some things because some people sent over some large sums of money. And we are grateful and we are appreciative for that, because our goal is to upgrade our equipment and to find a facility that we can call home, and to continue to try to win souls and build lives for the kingdom. So we do thank you in advance for that. And like I said, I do thank Pastor Akers for allowing us to be there, because if we were not there, I guess we would really be the parking lot church. And that's whatever parking lot we can find. Because when people are coming to Christ and they want to build, and some want to rebuild their lives, there is a need. And so we have to do that, because that is the call. We are not a gathering of people who just socialize for whatever it is, for the spirit of socializing. If you're a part of a ministry, there's a couple things that should be happening. You should be growing spiritually, not just drowning in church customs, but you should be going spiritually, and that becomes a challenge, not between you and the oratorial. It becomes a challenge between you and your God. It's not how many auxiliaries and affiliations you have or associations you have. It is how are you helping rebuild people who are broken in life, and then how are you helping those who have achieved a certain level in life to come back and assist those who need to. I saw a lot of little kids running around today, and you just pray and you wonder what their future would be like, because we're experiencing something in my 58 years of life that I've never experienced. With family, with friends, with co-workers, economically, socially, it is a challenge. And you don't know what you have, whether it's allergies, whether it's sinus, whether it's a cold, whether it's a spring fever. Sometimes you just don't know. And health is something that we need to take seriously. So on that note, I want to talk to you tonight, again, about the 5 wise and the 5 foolish. And we may need to take me down the notch because we got an echo in the back. I want to talk to you about a different level of concept. And as I was strolling, one thought was, and to someone it would be, now we just lost it, the sound. Now it would be to some, stop dialing back. And I want you to remember that if I don't get to it, about 7:25, remind me about stop dialing back. All right? But what I want to talk to you about are birds. I wish I could put the camera on some of you guys and look at your expression. How does the 5 wise and the 5 foolish equate to birds? I think we got too much high, need a little bit of mid, and we should balance out. How does that fit? Here's the thing I find interesting about this particular parable is that they were on the same line. They had the same information. They had the same qualifications. They had the same identity. But yet, they were separate. And what they were separate about was their pattern of thinking. And where most people today are going in error in their life is that they're following the crowd. And this is why I use the term birds, because there's an old saying, a cliche, birds of a feather will flock together. So then you could be following a flock of birds that do not have the DNA that you have, but yet you look like them. You talk like them. You're from the same era as they are, but you're not them. And so when I look at the concept of the 5 wise, and we can begin the slide, I look at the concept of the 5 wise, I look at what separated them. What does the meaning say?
Birds of a feather flock together.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning when people who act the same.
See, sometimes you get trapped by how other people act because it's all you've seen. Keep going.
Hang out.
No, not the slide. Okay.
Hang out together. Similar.
See, because when you see people hanging out and you're not hanging with them, you feel like you left out. And you feel like that's the in crowd. Why was it 5? Because somebody had influence over 5. You have to be careful how you feed your imagination. You have to be careful, because just because it looks like fun doesn't mean that it's true fun. Just because he or she looks like they're making money doesn't mean that he or she can make enough money, or you can make enough money to sustain what you're trying to do. Remember that word, sustain. Come on, read.
Similar people tend to associate.
So you have something in common with them. It could be your ethnicity. It could be that you grew up on the same side of town. It could be that they're relatives of yours. And so then it's just a natural state to conform, watch this, rather than understand. It is a natural form to conform. So I see this. I see my cousins. I see my friends look like they're happy. They're all jumping rope. I may be 6'8", and the people that are jumping rope are 4'5". Well, the people that are jumping rope, you can't jump rope with someone 6'8", because the person 6'8", the rope is not high enough to go around them. But because that's what you see, then you choose to assemble yourself with people who don't have the same DNA. So let's read that again. When
people who act the same hang out together, similar people tend to associate.
So that tells me we can be trapped by association. We can be trapped when it says when people act the same. So they broke, I'm broke. They sad, I'm sad. They hurt, I'm hurt. They look like me, So we should be okay. And those are some of the same people that will poison you because they're really not of you. And if you can't figure out the difference, then you will be trapped by what you see and never by what you know. Somebody need to write that one down. So it says, when people who act the same. So basically, if I'm a person that needs a lot of pity, I'm a victim, then I'll find people who are victims. But this ain't going over well. Because they're depressed, I'm depressed. They're broken, I'm broken. So then we're going to flock together, and somehow two negatives think they can generate a positive. Two dysfunctional people think they can make something functional. Because when you see so much with your sight, you literally cut off your intellect and you stop the growth of your intelligence. So it says, when people who act the same, well, you know, I messed up, you know, yeah, I messed up too. Well, we all right then, man, we can hang out. But that's not your DNA. Let me give you a word. You tripped, but you didn't fall. Have you ever tripped over something but didn't fall? Because sometimes a person's talking to you, but they literally have fallen and you just tripped. But because it looks the same, it sounds the same, it feels familiar, now I flock with people that I'm not supposed to be with. So it says, when people who act and hang out together, similar people tend to associate with each other. In context, it gives us a theory. Come on with the next slide. So my question was, how did the five foolish, how did they infect each other? What have you allowed into your zone that's really not of your zone? What conversations? It goes back to the caterpillar and the butterfly. Once you are going, or once you are coming through transition or transformation, your dialect, your language will change, because your DNA will take on another form. You will actually metaphor into something else. The problem is, many people are too in love with the chrysalis and not in love with the resurrection. There are too many people literally hung up on their past, so you can't think about your present. If you can't think and function in your present, there's no way you can think about your future. So when I look at this, I say, how did the five wise advance and the five foolish retreat? I'll say this again. Everything that evolves goes through levels of resistance. I'm going to say this to you in theory. Was it possible that the five foolish wanted comfort? They wanted to fit in. So they allowed someone who didn't have a bigger scope. Could it be that the five foolish wanted something called status? And they never built substance. I'll say this again. The five foolish wanted status without substance, which creates hallucination, daydreaming, and assumption. It becomes a fantasy. Remember I talked, I think it was, I don't know if it was last Tuesday. I don't know if you have the slide of the fantasy. It would be a good slide to fit, because I said there's a couple things. There's fantasy, there's fiction, there's fact. And some people are literally caught up in a fantasy. I don't have those notes right in front of me. Some people are literally caught up in it, because just because something sounds good doesn't mean it's good long term. Somehow the five foolish thought they had enough, because they all went to the same line. But watch this. They all had the same status, but they were not equal in substance. If you want to separate yourself from your past and you want to separate yourself from mistakes, you're going to have to deal with resistance. You're going to have to deal with resistance of overcoming, because they were so consumed, they thought they had enough. Here is what the 5 wise did. The 5 wise has substance and didn't need status. I'll say it again. The 5 wise has substance and didn't need status. I really don't have the time to break out substance and status, but I'll give you a little bit. Status means I appear, so I can label myself. Substance means you literally don't have to have a label, because what you have speaks for you. Does that make sense? See, people who are seeking status is always trying to present themselves. They're always trying to say, oh, look at me. And it's a fantasy land, because if you work on your substance, you don't have to show or prove anything to anybody. But when you lack substance, it's now when many people seek status. And people think having a title, having a position, and I said this with some people off camera. Many people don't know, and especially in certain ethnicity groups, what leadership really is. If you are managing through authority, you are dead. Ask me why. When you take away the creativity of other people to carry out one man's agenda, what happens to those people when they can no longer carry out that one agenda? See, power comes in collaboration when you have the opportunity to collaborate with someone and give them the freedom to have input. And see, there are certain ethnicity groups who are used to being controlled because of authority. Authority is one-sided. Oh, y'all did. So because of my status, you don't talk to me, but then you don't get better because we didn't talk. Am I making sense? Because you looked at the authority and didn't see the collaboration. Had you collaborated, authority wouldn't have been needed. Does that make sense? But see, we're so used to being led by authority that we don't see collaboration and creativity, because someone on the team could come up with a brilliant idea, but because they fear authority, you'll never hear it. And so many people, when they get in a position, they don't follow the processes. They just want to show you how powerful they are. And they want you to see their status. So my question goes, what was guiding the 5 foolish? Was it status? Was it see me? Was it fantasy? So if you're fantasizing, you can't deal with reality, which puts you in a fixated kind of mindset. Because when reality shows up, it crushes you. Because people are looking for status. Oh, I have somebody in my life. You may be more powerful without anybody in your life. But because you see the other birds with somebody, y'all ain't hear me. You see them cooking out. You don't know their basement, your basement is their Super Bowl. So many people reduce themselves. So I just wonder how many of the other 4 versions were infected by a small-minded person's concept. Who has helped stunt your opportunity and your growth? Because here's what substance represents. Substance is characterized as accountability, responsibility, and credibility, and supports with representation of the processes. See, many people quit because the process has no sugar in it. The process doesn't have praise. The process goal is to make it to the finish line. Many people are not interested in the finish line. They're interested in only feeling good. Oh, it's mighty quiet. It's quiet. They're only interested in what will make them happy and not what will make them better. One of the foolish should have said, well, why do they have all those extra containers? How many foolish people have told you, you don't need that? You got enough to make it. You don't need an education. You don't need to pray for revelation. You just need to be happy where you are. So you stop challenging yourself. And you become a bird when you were born an eagle. Because a bird cannot fly at the height of an eagle. A bird has to get what it can, and an eagle can pick what it won't. Now remember that. Because here's the thing that I want to say to somebody. If this pandemic does not change how you operate, nothing will. This is a time for everyone to reorganize and to rethink how I'm doing what I'm doing. Am I being effective, accountable, credible with what I'm doing? Or am I just trying to get by? The old folk had a song that said, Lord, I'm trying to make 199 and a half won't do. That's an old folk song now. Y'all don't know nothing about that. I sent a young man out to my car. I said, you got to be careful now, because it's got a cassette player in it. See, these kids today, they don't know what a cassette player is. He said, oh, Pastor, I understand. I knew about cassette players and the 8-track. See, you take an 8-track player now. You had some groovy music when you had an 8-track player. Don't nobody know nothing about a VCR? VHS? Don't nobody have that. No, I mean, I got one in the office. Give me that. Because see, here's the thing. If there ever was a time for you to examine yourself, it's now. Now is the time to birth separation from foolishness and complacency and dysfunctional environments. It is now. If you do not rebuild and head into the chrysalis, when this matter is over, excuse my French, you will be just as dysfunctional, dumb, and stupid as you were before we ever hit this pandemic. People in finances have asked me to tell them. I said, listen, and people look at me like I'm real stupid. I'm like, if you don't respect the penny, you can't respect the dollar. What is he saying, Bob? What is he saying, Bob? I don't understand what he's saying. Penny makes up dollars. Dollars make up $100. So you got to break it down to its lowest common denominator. And if you can't handle the penny, then you'll be irresponsible with the dollar. And that same mind that's irresponsible with the dollar will be irresponsible with the $100 bill, because you will see it in your mind as it is though a dollar. And once you break a $100 bill, you can't find out where it went. So if you can't respect the penny, you can't respect the dollar. Because now it's the time for everybody to restructure and reorganize what they're doing. I'll say it again. If there ever was a time for separation, there's a time to cut away some things and let them go. Because you want to birth yourself into being wiser. It's a time to reconsider your health habits, your eating habits. Because if we don't come out of this any better than when we went in, I promise you, we will never get even. And if you can't get even, you can't get ahead. Because Proverbs 23:7, I don't know what it says, but I wrote this underneath it, so if it's jacked up, blame it on me. As we think, so we will be. What are you saying? This is the part it's perfect timing. For as he thinketh in his heart. See, because you can lie to people and you can lie to yourself, but you can't lie to your heart. Because it's time to stop serving God with your lips. He says in the New Testament, for those people serve me with their lips. See, people are focused on the status and not the process. What do you mean? You want to live in a mansion and you want to have all these acres, but you're hungry. It is the farmer that's ahead of everybody. The farmer's not running to the store trying to get toilet paper. He's not running to the store trying to get food. He has supplied his own. Let me tell you, when I was talking to you about stop dialing back, can I give you the brunt of that?
Yes.
How do you go to work and be in an office or a professional environment, and then you go home and you dial it back? How do you go to work and supposed to be a leader or a staff person, deal with education, and then go home and dial it back? You talk about doing a disservice. You're doing a disservice to yourself. You're doing a disservice to the people you're with. And you're doing a disservice to your community. Because many communities are failing because there's no examples. They need somebody different that's not going to talk like them and act like them to show you that it's okay to be like you want to be. But when you dial it back. And see, this is why so many people are caught up in fiction, because they're between fantasy and fiction and they don't know reality. Whoever you are, you need to be that 24/7. If you're articulate, you're intelligent, you need to be that. Because this is what creates a half a circle. Because you are not being you and what you're meant to be, because people don't understand you, it doesn't mean that they don't understand you. It just means no one has been in their circle talking like that. And if you speak the way you're supposed to speak and you act the way you're supposed to act, you can save someone else from being in a group of the five foolish. Because if you're not the example, then who will be? If you're talking like them, then where's the relief that they could see that God lives and works in somebody? If you deny, he said, if you deny me, I would deny you. So you don't want to show that God has blessed you. You don't want to show that you have good diction. You were dead. And so, he, nothing. Go to the hospital with that crap. See where you get to right now. Because too many people are shutting off their intelligence and their intellect. You know why? Who's really being artificial? You or them? Because let me tell you about artificial people. Artificial people will always complicate your life. I'll let you think about that one for a moment. Artificial people. What does that mean? They're not real with themselves, so how can they be real with you? They're inconsistent with themselves, so how can they be consistent with you? They don't want responsibility, so how can they be responsible with you? They avoid conflict, so how can they help you when you deal with conflict? See, because when you dial it back, you actually lock yourself in a gate that God has released you. And so God doesn't know if you're the Peter that I can give the keys or you the Peter that's going to deny me. Because we dial it back. We're afraid to show our intelligence. She may not like me. He may not like me. I may not fit in. Well, understand, you're around a group of pigeons when you're an eagle. Because birds of a feather that flock together, they stuck together. Because here's what happens when you want to change. It creates a level of hunger. And you have a level of hunger that makes you seek a higher level. The problem is you're still trying to take the trash with you. And that could be their Super Bowl. But that's just your incubator. And some of the reason that God let us sit in these situations is so we'll know not to come back. But the problem is we keep dialing back. Because Satan tells you to doubt. Satan tells you to fear. Satan tells you you're odd and you're different. No, you're an example for Christ. Because what's your hunger level? Your hunger level will show the intensity to your preparation. That was the difference in the 5 wise. I said again, they had a hunger level. In other words, they wanted to meet the bridegroom. They didn't hallucinate about the time. See, some of you want a 4-year degree in 30 minutes. Some of you want to go to college but don't want to go to class. Some of you want a high and paying job and a nice house but you don't want to work for it. But the 5 that was hungry, they had a different hunger level. Same qualifications, but different level of intensity. Same book, but read it different. And said, so if he doesn't come, this is why the parable says he didn't come until midnight. That's why old folk used to sing a song. What's the song they used to sing? He may not come when you want him, but he's right on time. Y'all remember that song? I know I just tore it up. Yes, sir. He said, yes, sir. Did I tore it up or did I say it right?
That's the song. That's
the song. Okay. Okay. But it's okay to say I tore it up because I tear up a lot of stuff. Because there's a song that says that he may not come when you want him, but he's right on time. See, you have psychologically, metaphorically put in your mind a time that it should happen. But God don't work on your time. And when God times come, the question is, are you prepared? You can't go get ready. You have to show him with your level of intensity that I am ready. Because God put the power of separation in your hand. And it's not that you're better. It's just that I have a hunger and an intensity that will cause me to prepare. So I'm not just going to hallucinate in my mind. I'm going to make sure that I'm ready. I don't have time to get sad. Too much of a fight going on. If I cry, I got to cry while I fight. This goes back to Nehemiah. Nehemiah said, I'm building a wall. I'm laying brick with one hand, but I got a sword in another because the enemy is coming to attack me. So I may have to stop laying brick and go back down the ladder and fight and pick up some more brick and go back up and lay because I'm going to build this wall. How many of us would have walked away? Hey, they fighting all day over there. I ain't got that kind of time. I don't want no wall. I don't want no trouble. Because who around you? Can I teach you for a minute? Yes. Who's around you determines your level of intensity, because you need people around you who will speak truth into your life and not create more situation. Because here's what happens. Make sure those around you and that are in your circle are just as hungry as you are. People that are going to school shouldn't hang out with people that don't want to go to school. Because somebody going to infect somebody. Either you going to encourage them to go, or every time you hear about, that's why I quit. I just gonna work. I just gonna work, boss. That's all. I'm just gonna work, boss. That's all. I don't want to do all that. You get a book or y'all give me some boxes. I just gonna work. And 20 years later, the company shut down. And the person that used the book is at the house working right now off the internet. And you went from $20 an hour to you can't even get a temp job now. Because nobody's hiring. They hiring at the nickel and dime jobs. But the problem is your responsibility is more than a nickel and a dime. Oh, I wish somebody talked to me. Your responsibility is more than a nickel and a dime. I can't put a nickel on my power bill. Well, they said they won't cut you off. Well, what happens when it's over with? Now you're 3 months behind. It's hard to catch up. Well, they said the government going to take care, you can bounce your house around for a year. You still got to pay the taxes and insurance. So instead of 20 years, you got 21. Instead of 15, you got 16. Instead of 30, you got 31. Well, my rent, yeah, okay, keep on. Then you don't resign your lease. You don't renew your lease. Ain't nobody gonna just give you nothing. That's why they trying to get the economy back on track. Cause they sit up and looked at Leroy, we gave away too much money. Okay, go back to work. Well, the boss, there's still the stuff out there. You ain't gonna die. Just go on back to work, Leroy. Yes, sir, boss. Yes, sir. Because what has changed? See, why I'm going to say this? I'm going to say this again. Make sure those around you and that are in your circle are just as hungry as you are. That will show you if you ought to walk with this person. See, because we've been programmed to carry people. And it makes you feel good and give you a certain mental status to carry someone. If you're going to accomplish your task, you're going to need support. This is why I was sharing with the deacons offline, is that I don't want authority. I want collaboration. Because collaboration means all minds in the room are on. I don't just want my mind. Because my plan could be a failed plan. And everybody carry out my failure. Oh, that's just stupid. Well, I'm the boss. But you're stupid. Yes, I said it. To my producer, yes, I said it. Now, I mean it too. The Reggie coming out. They say little Reggie violent. He on parole. He ain't got but a few minutes. He got to be in. But am I making sense? Yeah. Who is as hungry as you are? But let me ask another question. Who has dampened your hunger for what you want? Who has poisoned your dreams with fiction? Who has stifled you from expanding your borders? And then it says some doors that are meant to be closed. See, because if they can't help and support you, then all they can do is contaminate you. And you no longer speak from the seat of promise. You are now talking death and not life. Does this make sense? Because five foolish, one way to know who you're with is to see and measure in your circle how people handle information. Do they exit the circle when it gets tough? Or do they come back to the circle with creativity and solutions? And this is what will tell you whether to reopen the door or to keep it closed. Because here's the thing. To get out of the half circle, you got to break some barriers. And those barriers deal with your thoughts, Those barriers deal with how you think, because how you think will affect your attitude, and your attitude will affect your appetite. Instead of eating from the tree of life, you'll be once again eating from the tree of death. So measure who can bring some substance into your circle. And if they are strong enough to walk with you, to come out of your comfort zone, to leave the half circle, first of all, by changing what you feed your mind. Because what you feed your mind will control your thoughts. And what control your thoughts will control your thinking. And the supply chain from what you fed your thoughts that now is linked to your mind will affect your attitude and change your appetite. What does that mean real quick? That means, do I have a short-term appetite? Am I looking for self-gratification? Or am I looking for long-term destination? Biggest difference with the 5 wise and the 5 foolish. There's some people that only want status. And there are literally some people who just want the ingredients, the substance. And if they get the substance, they don't need the status. It says people will generally what? Accept facts as truth only if the facts agree with what they already believe. I would say in my closing, this is a time to be active in your life, avoiding instant replay. If we don't, we will repeat the same cycle. And if you really want change, you've got to make sure you understand your DNA. So where you doubt, you need to know that's just wind trying to resist what God has instilled in you. Does that make sense? May God bless you. As the old folks say, may heaven smile upon you. I'll see you tomorrow night being grateful. God bless you.